All right, y'all, this is it. If you've been keeping up with me up until this point, we've gone over every Season 2 boss except for the last one. So without wasting any of your time, I'm going to get straight into the Season 2, Chapter 4-8 boss, which, of course, if it's your first completion, you are going to get the contract for Nadine. So after we get her, we're going to take a look at her in the contract list so we could look at all of her skills, skilled up, identify some strengths and weaknesses, and see if you actually want to use her on your team. Like always, we're going to go into the preview screen and we will take a look at the boss a step at a time. Immediately, we see a pretty high attack, 13,000 plus attack. So if he hits you, it's going to hurt. It's probably going to do a lot of damage. If you're just getting to this for the first time, you might not have enough HP or defense to actually eat an attack like that with your damage dealers in the back and your supporters. So you're definitely going to want your main tank front loaded on this boss so that you don't have to worry about him getting a hold of anyone in the back line. Defense is pretty high, but the HP is pretty low. So I'm thinking we could probably take him out in 1 or 2 turns, especially if we have all of our rage skills whenever we get into him. Planting inflicts damage to enemies in the range by 150% of the attack. If there are multiple targets, the damage will be split. So what that means is he's going to do humongous damage in probably a cone, or in a circle area around the boss. But if you have a lot of units on top of him, then the damage actually gets split amongst all of them. But I think it would be better just to have one unit front loaded to eat all the damage and like have one unit just get annihilated instead of having all of your units be in a bad spot if their health gets too low. Vine Hell inflicts damage to the enemies in range by 100% of the attack and stuns them for 1 turn. Now that doesn't even say with a % chance. So I think if he lands that, it's getting a stun off. I don't know if your resistance is incorporated into that or not. If it is, you would need a lot of resistance in order to negate that. And Rage skill, Rage of the Forest, inflicts damage to all enemies by 30% of the attack 5 times and becomes photosynthesized for 5 turns. Photosynthesis status, Twiggy's attack will be increased and the planting skill range will be extended. So if he gets his Rage skill off, he's going to destroy you. That's all there is to it. So for the ads behind him, he just has supporters, which one of them has an attack buff. So we want to make sure he doesn't get attack buffed by these supporters. But also, before you get into this boss, I know we go over this before, but if you're having trouble and have a weak link on your team, if you're looking at the friend support, the 2 bottom suggested friends, if you do not like one of those options, you can actually exit the prepare screen, re-enter the prepare screen, and those 2 on the bottom will change into someone maybe a little bit more desirable for what you're trying to accomplish. So let's go ahead and, since I like to support my friends, technically you wouldn't have Nadine yet, so I don't think it would be right for me to bring her in this fight. So I'll go ahead and bring someone else, like this guy's Terrax, since we're just going to be doing all the damage anyways, not really worrying too much about sustainability, because I think if he ends up hitting us, it's going to be the end of us anyways. So like always, if you follow my previous little guides for bosses and stuff, what I like to do is on these 2-wave boss turns, go ahead and defeat all enemies except for 1 and leave that enemy with 1 hit left so that you can take the time passing your turn to increase your rage skill on the right. And so whenever we get into the boss fight, we will have all of our rage skills ready. Plus, if you have, cooldowns that you need to worry about, your cooldowns will be available by the time we actually get to the boss. So this is it. This is where we just knock him down, get the health down. Now at this point, we're just going to pass. The Skinner isn't going to be too much of a problem. He's also an ad behind the boss. He doesn't really do too much damage, so I'm not very worried about him, killing any of my units. Now that all of our rage skills are ready, well, it doesn't look like Amy's is ready, which that is a pretty important one to have. So let's go ahead and pop a heal to make sure he doesn't die. And I want to absolutely be certain that Amy's rage skill will be ready. There we go. That's it. So now whenever we get into the boss fight, if we had a super tank, we would front load the super tank on the boss and keep everybody off to the side and as far away as possible, so that if he was attacking, it wouldn't be detrimental to our entire team, or it wouldn't be as devastating. Right now I'm going to start off with an attack buff, my crit buff as always, and a little bit of shield and speed boost. Now at this point, I'm just going to unload everything I got on this boss. I mean, he has 66,000 health. If we had a defense break, I would have initiated the defense break here so that he would be taking maximum damage. So let's go ahead and just get our attacks ready until it's his turn. He is stunned. Okay, this is another thing I want to point out for this boss. Susceptible to CC. As with most bosses underneath the HP bar, we've noticed in the past he has a lot of bosses have a little gimmick underneath, like it'll say he doesn't take 99% less damage whenever in defensive stance. It doesn't say anything of the sort. So if you want to stun him, if you want to immobilize him, it does not say you can't do that. So since he is stunned, I'm going to go ahead and save my rage skills until these healers start to take their turn. And I'm going to try to interrupt them right now with all of my rage skills so that they don't actually get off a heal or a attack buff. Let's see, did it work? Oh, well, they got their turn off anyways, but they actually didn't decide to heal. So that's a very good thing. Right off the bat, one turn, we were able to stun them. If you have Amy, you can stun them. There's a lot of stunners available. Immobilization, there's a lot of ways to take care of people that are able to be crowd controlled. He is at 1/3 of his HP already. So I'm fairly certain if we just use our strongest abilities, our strongest single target attacks, we're going to take him out. Just like he's immovable, see? If you put a movable on him, you can just run away and then get all your rage skills up again while he takes his time to sit there. So the deal with this boss, basically, if he hits you, it's going to be a bad time. So just make sure he doesn't hit you. Have all of your setup ready by the time you get to the boss, all of your rage skills. If you can stun him, go ahead and do so. If you could not stun him whenever he goes to take his turn, using a rage skill like Amy's that has the ability to knock back will interrupt his turn and he will end up wasting that turn anyways. So long story short, if this boss hits you, you lose. If you get, a strong enough attacker and a strong enough team of damage dealers, he's not really going to have a chance to utilize such a high attack. So hopefully that helps you with this boss. And if that did help you with this boss, then this is the point where your contract for Nadine would become available. Congratulations on completing the story as well. So if you are available to obtain Nadine now, let's go ahead and take a look at her contract, because I've noticed a lot of opinionated, this mercenary sucks, this mercenary is good, this mercenary is good for arena, this mercenary is bad for arena. I've only seen like one level 50 mercenary, so I don't know how anybody has such strong opinions on whether somebody's good or not yet. But I can tell you, for what the content that I have been completing, her kit has proved useful. I'm not going to say if she's good for arena, bad for arena. I'm not going to say if she's good for, floor 11, bad for floor 11, because the fact of the matter is nobody has a level 51 yet. Even if they do, I'm pretty sure they don't have her fully skilled up with all SSR cards, every skill fully maxed. I'm fairly certain people don't have her exclusive equipment fully maxed, but what we can do is just objectively look at her skills, go through her a step at a time, and break down her uses. So let's go with her abilities first. Chopping Axe inflicts damage to the enemy by 42% of the attack and recovers your HP by the amount of damage dealt. This is a cone attack in front of her. It's an obtuse angle cone with somewhat of a short range, but if she's in their face, whenever she hits them with it, she will be recovering HP for everyone she hits. And whenever you get her SSR card and promote it, and this skill gets promoted, she will gain a defense break with that first skill as well, which nets you an AoE defense break. Very, very useful, especially since it is for 2 turns. So even if you defense break and they happen to take a turn right after her, they'll still maintain defense break for another turn if it is not cleansed. As you skill it up, the first time it skills up, it'll be a 30% chance, then 45, and then straight from 45 all the way to 70. So you'll only need enough accuracy to give that plus 0%. You'll only need enough accuracy to make it plus 30 to give her a 100% chance to defense break. Of course, as long as the enemy doesn't have a lot of resistance, it should hit most of the time. Second skill, Domination. charges towards the enemy and knocks the enemy back, inflicting damage by 55% of the attack. Additionally, inflicts damage by 55% of the attack and stuns. So what this means is she will charge them and push them back a little bit, and then she's going to jump up and slam down and hit them again for the same amount of damage with a chance to stun. Now, it can be resisted. It says stuns the enemy for 1 turns with a 50% chance. That's another reason accuracy will play into her stat requirement. You're going to need some effect accuracy. Whenever you skill this up, it will also decrease the attack speed of the enemy for 2 turns. And whenever you skill it up all the way, it goes straight to 100%. So any bonus accuracy you have is just going to be a little bit of a bonus and not really your hard cap requirement. So right up 1 skill, 2 debuffs. That's huge. So say if you had this skilled up all the way and you used it on somebody and pushed them back away from your squishies, not only did you push them back, and if you stun them and decrease their attack speed, they have multiple rounds they're not getting to you. So basically they're going to have to deal with taking less turns overall because of the decreased attack speed, and they're going to have to miss out on one of those turns anyways because they're stunned, which essentially puts them out of the fight for an extended period of time unless they get cleansed of all of those debuffs. Crash Smash. Moves behind the enemy to inflict damage by 145% of the attack and knocks the enemy back. Grants movement range down effect for 2 turns with a 60% chance. So another reason to have some, accuracy. I'm going to play into that every time it comes up because that's already 3 skills that we see. All of her main skills that need accuracy because movement range down is pretty big. Whenever you think of movement range down, you don't really think of how effective it is until you see it in play or if you've had it on you. That basically may as well be a mobilization. So it's not technically a mobilization because you can jump around with skills. You can still do whatever attacks you have that move you around. But if you're just trying to chase down an enemy or run away from them, your movement speed or movement range for that turn is going to be diminished vastly. You're not getting anywhere. So, whenever you promote this skill as well, decreases the enemy's attack bar by 200, 350, and 500. So that's a pretty big one too. If you know Hua on Summoner's War, whenever she first attacks, she decreases the attack bar. That's essentially what this is with a 3rd skill, so that if she knocks them back and say if they were stunned and slowed from the previous turn and their turn was coming up, she will decrease the attack bar again, and she just makes everyone take, or whoever her target is, they're not basically getting to act at all. If she has accuracy, she's taking them out of the match while being somewhat of a super tank because she has a pretty good base HP and defense as well as a pretty good base attack for being a tanker. Moving on, this is her rage skill, Roar of the Lion. Inflicts damage to the enemies by 86% of the attack and grants the immovable effect for 2 turns with an 80% chance. Whenever you skill this up, it will increase her own defense up to a 100% chance if you've skilled it up enough times. Another, stopping the enemy from moving. The thing about this is it's an AoE around her, and the range of it is pretty nice. So if someone is anywhere near her, they are going to get hit in that range. I'm very sorry about that. I'm just drinking something. Anyways, so they're not going to be moving anyways. If you're having trouble with the mobility of the enemy, if the enemy is just running circles around you, or they're jumping to you, or they're just getting away from you, this is a very good mercenary to have because her kit is just basically manhandling whatever opponent she has, tossing them to the left, tossing them to the right, making them immovable, stunning them. She's a huge nuisance, and I mean that in the nicest way possible because I use her very religiously. Let's take a look at her SSR card. So whenever you get this SSR card and you place it on her, it increases all of her skill damage. We already know about this, but what a lot of people don't seem to understand is whenever you have a second SSR card and you promote her SSR card with it, these skills, that's how they get the extra effect beneath their actual effect. So if you want this to decrease attack speed, you're going to need to put another SSR card into her promotion and have a 1/3 chance for it to roll into that effect. So I've seen a lot of people claim that certain mercenaries are useless or certain mercenaries don't have a lot of utility, and they seem to fail to understand that this is not given with the mercenary. You actually have to work to get those powered up to reach their full potential. So, of course, that's going to take 12 SSR cards. If you want to promote this all the way, all of her skills all the way, it's going to be a while. So if you don't like her kit right off the bat, or if she's not really doing it for you immediately, you're probably missing out on half of her kit anyways, because you haven't taken the time to invest in her. That was a big problem I thought about with Josephine, where people seem to really hate Josephine, but if you skill her up, she becomes very useful. But this isn't about her. This is about Nadine. Again, exclusive equipment. This is a big one. This is a very hard one to obtain, but whenever you obtain her legendary, her rage skill is going to get another bonus added effect, where whenever she does her rage skill, she will recover 20% of her max HP. So basically, if she's like on the low side of health, whenever she does this rage skill, if you have her legendary exclusive card, not only will she get the defense buff, not only will she make everyone around her immovable, she will be recovering a fifth of her max HP anyways. So I thought that was very nice. Also, for her SSR card, there is a bonus effect that she gets as a passive that I forgot to point out. Takes 10% of the damage that all allies received except you. What this means is if like somebody hits your Amy for 10,000, instead they hit her for 9,000 and Nadine eats 1,000 of that. So that's a very good passive to have. Abilities, let's see here. She's going to use Annihilation badges to skill up. You can up her recovery amount, so her ultimate can be increased the amount of that recovery. She also has penetration rate and crit rate. It's not as common that a tanker gets both of those, so that's a very nice thing to have. Basic attack, basic defense, and basic HP. So these are the abilities that you will be increasing with her battle badges. We can go over her story if you want. That's not that long. All right, my friends, are you ready? Even in her days at the training camp, Nadine's power has been simply incredible. Everyone was so anxious to take Nadine with them, but she couldn't find the right one for her. Instead, she began to dream that she wants to make a family for Harzes like her. Nadine chose the ones who needed care and formed a mercenaries, transforming the lion cubs into strong warriors with her natural sense of responsibility and bravery, and developing the Aslan mercenaries into the strongest of the Harzes. So that's a very long sentence. I'm not going to try to suss that out. What I'm guessing is she's the cool kid. She's popular. Let's take a look at some of these reviews. I am not a fan of reviews because unless you have used her extensively, used her exclusively for the story, used her in all the mercenary missions, gotten to one of the highest ranks of her in arena with her fully built, and no one has her fully built yet, then I don't think we're really in a position to grade her, especially with a star rating. But let's see what some people have to say. Best Powerpuff Girl here. What a very useless review, but funny. If you're looking for a great CC tank, then she's one of those mercenaries. Agreed. I will agree with that and give that a thumbs up. She does seem to be a great CC tank. Furry Queen. All right, moving on. On which shield they talk about on her SSR card? On her SSR card, let's see. What are you talking about? Takes 10% of the damage that all allies received except for you. That is not a shield. That is a passive saying that any damage anyone on the team takes, a portion of it is received by her instead. Now that we've gone through every bit of her kit and some miscellaneous features and miscellaneous things too, we can take her into the battle simulator and see how she really plays out. So I'm going to take a look at both of her, of course, without just whenever you first get her. This is when you first get her, right? That's the cone. It's going to do nothing but damage. That's the pushback. It's going to do nothing but stun. And this is the third CC that will jump behind them and cast move range down after moving them. So we can see a little bit of the range for the pushbacks is just enough to maybe get somebody out of the way that was perhaps a threat. Like if this was an Amy right here, this is a perfect example. If my teammate here was a squishy that was about to die and there was an enemy slowly coming up to them to kill them, I could use the skill to get in between them and knock them away. As well as if they were on their way, I could use this skill to move up to them and push them away and stun them. Now this AoE, let me see if I could show you a little bit of its range. I think it'll hit everybody right here. If I use it right here, still enough to hit everybody in range. So I think that's very nice. If you hold it, you can actually see who it will hit before you cast it. So if you want to make sure it's going to hit everybody, hold it. And if you don't like the result, let go by dragging your finger up instead of just letting go. So just drag your finger away like in a slow motion if you can see where my taps are going in case you're not hitting everybody. Now, we're going to take a look at her whenever you skill her up. We're going to put on her exclusive equipment. We're going to upgrade all of her abilities. We're going to give her that SSR card and take a look at the final form of Nadine. So this is Nadine's final form in the form of level 1. I wish I could put her up to 50, but that'll be okay. Here we can see if we swing, we have a defense break. Now I don't have accuracy on in the battle simulator. I was able to get 1 defense break on the first hit and all 3 of them on the second one. So it's a bit of a toss-up without the accuracy on if you will land it. All 3 of them got it. 1 of them got it, 2 resisted. 2 of them got it, 1 resisted. So it's going to be a gamble until you skill that up. Whenever you or until you increase her accuracy. When you increase her effect accuracy, you will be getting more often to hit everybody in that cone shape with the defense down. Now, whenever this is skilled up, not only will it stun them, it will decrease their attack speed. So if they could fill their attack bar right here, if they were stunned as well, their attack bar would fill at half speed. So it would essentially take them 2 turns to get through that stun. And then after that stun was over, it would take them 2 more turns to get back to their original speed. Plus, if they were starting to reach that area, if you wanted to knock them back, you can decrease their attack bar with that 3rd skill. And this person is just a punching bag at this point. They are not getting anywhere. And they're not going to be able to do anything for most of the fight. Now, her rage skill, whenever it's fully skilled up and we have the card equipped, she will be healing some of her HP and getting a defense buff. So if everybody is immobilized with her right here, they'll most likely be forced to attack her. She already has high defensive stats, and if you're building her for tank, they're not going to be doing much of anything, and she's just going to be free to sit here and eat whatever attacks they do as she spams CC and defense down. So that's about it. I mean, we've gone through the battle simulator. We went through the reviews. If you ever are interested in a mercenary, this is really what you should be doing. You should be going through all of their skills and the contract list so that you can see what happens when they promote. You need to look at the cards, the exclusive equipment. Take the ranking system or the rating system with a grain of salt, because no one has anything fully built yet, but try to be a little bit objective on what you're looking at to see if the the features they have and the abilities they have are something that could complement your goals and team. That's it for me, y'all. If you got Nadine today, really congratulations. If my videos helped you, that's awesome. I always love to hear about whenever y'all are telling me in the comments stuff. I read every single one of those. I try to react and everything. If you have a fully built Nadine, please let me know. I'm so interested to see how she behaves when she's fully built. But other than that, if you're having trouble with any of the other bosses, I'll go ahead and put links in the description, and I go through, some other particular subject, and then it's usually a caveat at the end where I go through that particular boss. I put it in reverse order today, where we went over the boss and then we went over Nadine. But other than that, it's a great Sunday. Have a good day, y'all. Have a good weekend, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.